You're not curvy, you're wide. You didn't glow up, you just spent 20K to hate your reflection. Both of these statements focus on a fundamental ideology that is plaguing us as a people today. Welcome to Niger Delta. If it is your first time, welcome, and if you're returning, thank you for your continued support. Please, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Today's topic is going to focus on something that I recently noticed. I want to talk about blindness. I want to talk about weight blindness, beauty blindness, just blindness in general. If you look on social media, you see a lot of videos of people being hypercritical of how they look, especially young people being hypercritical of how they look. Right now, looks maxing is something that is really big. Looks maxing is something that has been promoted for the last couple of years now. You see a lot of people being very critical of how they physically look of their faces, and then they also end up promoting you to be able to do plastic surgery for a lot of people who don't necessarily need it. When you hear the phrase body dysmorphia, what do you think? So traditionally, body dysmorphia refers to people who have a perception of their bodies looking a particular way. For example, they think that they look bigger than they actually are. That's usually how people use body dysmorphia. But that's not how we're going to use it in this video. In this video, when I talk about body dysmorphia, I talk about weight blindness. Traditionally, when people talk about all of that, we talk about people who think that they are bigger than what they are. But what if I tell you that there's an opposite in the spectrum? What if I tell you that there are people who cannot tell how much they weigh? They think that they are smaller than what they actually are. Now, you would find this case with people who are used to looking a certain way, and then over time they gain weight, but they're in their mind, they still think they look what they look like, maybe 10, 15, 20, 50 pounds lighter. Now, what can you think contributes to that factor? One thing I would say that contributes to that confusion is the fact that, for one, we live in a society now that's very hyper focused on how we look. A lot of people cannot truly perceive what they look like, whether it be their body or their looks or just like facial harmony. Also, social media plays a huge impact in the increase in when it comes to like over-critiquing our looks. When it comes to facial harmony, social media plays a huge part in that. But what plays a big part in sometimes people having weight blindness, sometimes people not being able to tell, I've gained 50 pounds. What plays a huge part in that? That's what this video is going to analyze, dissect, and, discuss. So when I was trying to determine the answer to my question, it was very easy for me to first, when I was analyzing facial blindness or beauty blindness, for me it was very easy to determine the thing that causes that will probably be a combination of social media, looks maxing, the increase of not only plastic surgery, but the increase of access to plastic surgery, and the increase of access to information about plastic surgery, and the increase of access to the information of doctors who can do said plastic surgery. But when it came to analyzing weight blindness, it was a little bit trickier. Not tricky because I couldn't get to the answer, but trickier because I think it's a combination of things. Because it's one thing to think you look bigger than you are, but when you think you look smaller than you are, there's certain factors that play into it. So for one thing I think that plays into a lot of people's weight blindness was definitely the health at every size movement, the body positivity movement, the I look perfect at the way that I am movement, the movements that really pushed the your weight doesn't matter movement, the movement that pushed, oh, your doctors shouldn't talk about your weight, your doctor should not. It was not only a movement, but I would also say a, how would I put it? I would say it was more like a time period that we were in the States, especially, where being able to talk about your health was almost seen as taboo. Personally, I don't think large extremes are good. When things like to swing like a pendulum, fashion swims like a pendulum, weight trend swim like a pendulum, I don't like extremes. And for us, the health at every movement thing was an extreme, because at that point we went from a time when people were super hypercritical about managing the weight to swinging to the complete opposite. And it's like, you can't talk about your weight, you can't talk about health, you can't talk about even being weighing on the scale became taboo. It became so much taboo that some people forgot themselves. They lost the ability for them to be able to listen to the bodies telling them, hey, I'm in pain, hey, go see a doctor. I think we run the risk of dealing with, whether it be facial beauty blindness, weight health blindness, we run a risk of that when we as a society, we as a country, we as a nation, we as a global infrastructure, when we go to extremes. I think that a lot of the issues that we're dealing with now, like for example, now that the pendulum is swinging the opposite way, a lot of the issues that we were dealing with was because of the extremes. And some of the blindness can be fun, and not necessarily fun in a bad way, but like fun in a haha hee hee fun way. Like, I used to suffer from eyebrow blindness. I used to suffer from eyebrow blindness because at the time I wasn't used to like, I wasn't used to doing makeup, so I didn't know what was right. I wanted this to show up well. Like, I could not physically see what was physically present on my eyes, and I would just keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's actually a thing. So suffering from blindness isn't that uncommon, but how we decide to deal with it will determine if it's something as minuscule as like eyebrow blindness, or something as like serious as like body weight blindness, or like beauty blindness. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please let me know, what do you think about the topic? Do you think that as a society, our beauty blindness and our weight blindness is getting worse? Or do you think it is going to slowly improve now that the pendulum is swinging a little bit? How do you feel about extremes? How do you feel about the extremes, the pendulum swinging? And what do you think about this topic? I would love to hear more on your opinions. And also, if you've suffered through any type of blindness, please share it down below. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys another time. Thank you for watching, and please, I would love to hear your opinions. Bye bye.